Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Behind Enemy Lines, the hockey podcast. As always, I'm joined with my good friend and fellow Habs fan, Steve. Welcome, Steve. Welcome to another show.
Well, it's good to be back yet again. A little bit of a pun intended on that one, but it's always good to talk Habs hockey, and we've got a lot to talk about. The magic number 50 is going to be prevalent today, and what that means as we truck forward. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So our topic today is going to be Cole Caufield's chase for 50 goals. We're going to hit on the playoff push. Um, and we're going to try to strive for 50 subscribers. We're at 49 right now, so one more gets us onto the 50 mark as well. And that's going to take us right into our trivia question with the 50 theme as well.
Yes, 50 being an important number, and it's often a benchmark that goal scorers are linked to each other in. So today's 50-ish trivia question is, who was the last Montreal Canadian to score 50 goals in a season?
Okay. Uh, I think I didn't get it right when we talked offline. I got it wrong. I said, can I tell them my guess?
Oh, you can tell them.
I said Vinny Damphousse, and I was wrong, but I
And,
think
and
he
even
had 40 a couple times, though, I think, did he not?
yeah, and even if you had John Cordick's goals, it's still not 50.
Yeah, yeah, added it on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to touch a little bit on the Islanders blowout game a little bit, or?
Yeah, because this rolls into kind of where we're at. Entering the game. Caufield, the 5 point game, 3 goals, 2 assists, puts him at 43. So anytime a goal scorer chips away at that magical number, we're talking 50. Scoring in bunches, it definitely takes some of the pressure off. There's added pressure because you're on a roll and you want to stay on a roll, but it takes pressure off because now you don't have to score 5 in your last game. You know,
Mhm.
with 13 games left, he needs 7.
Yeah.
So it gives him a little bit of a cushion, but we're in tight on the schedule. So with playoff points and the push
Mhm.
for points being part of where we're at,
Mhm.
we need Mr. Caufield to score and score often. And it could be the successes and the rewards could all be tied to the same thing.
Mhm. And on that note, with the schedule coming up over the next couple of weeks, this is what we have. So tomorrow night we got Carolina. Thursday, Columbus. Saturday, Nashville. Sunday against Carolina, 5 p.m. start for those that are interested. And then next week, we got Tuesday against Tampa Bay, Thursday against the Rangers, and then Saturday, Sunday, we got back to back against New Jersey. Um, I don't know that there's really any gimme games in there. I would say Nashville and the Rangers maybe, but there's some pretty big, pretty important games coming up, and the Stars need to shine.
Yeah, and anytime you're talking about playing teams ahead of you or in the race for the same position, those games are delicate because obviously we're the captain obvious take on hockey. You got to stay out of the penalty box. You
Mhm.
got to limit the chances. You got to capitalize on yours. You can't get caught watching the puck. All the same things that you hear on every hockey night in Canada interview. It's 100% truth. We have got to play smarter hockey, and if this team is any indication, we don't quit, we don't back off, we
Mhm.
right up to the final whistle. But we need to. What we do need to do is carry over from the Islanders game because our number one line was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they were on fire. They've been on fire for, since they put Slav back up there with them over what's that been a couple weeks now. They've just been right back to the old form, and I think he's happy to be there, and I think Cole and Nick are happy to have him back as well.
Yeah, and every risk comes with a reward, and every reward comes at a fallout somewhere. That second line hasn't been scoring in bunches since Slav has moved. So he's a big kid who's come into his own physically and mentally. And we talked about this, 3 or 4 episodes ago, 5 or 6 episodes ago. Second half Slap has turned it on,
Mhm.
and he has lived up to that, secondary nickname. We need him to be both half Slap, next year. But he's proven that he's a young kid who just wants to grind out and be better, and maturity wise doesn't take nights off, and has proven that he's worth every bit of the accolade of being a number one pick in the NHL.
Mhm. That controversy over him or that Shane Wright guy, that sort of put itself to bed pretty quickly, didn't it?
Well, Bob Barker might say the price is right, but
Yeah.
not this time.
Okay, so let's just get right down to the whole meat and potatoes of it. Right now, Nathan MacKinnon has 45 goals, Cole Caufield has 43 goals, and when you know it, your favorite player, Nikita Kucherov, just out of the blue, out of nowhere, he's got 40 goals. Um, Points wise, I'm just going to touch a little at Kucherov again, 119. It's just like it seemed like last week he had 80 points, and then boom, he turned it on, and now he's leading the league. McDavid 116, McKinnon 114. And I just want to touch base. Suzuki's actually number 8 with 85 points, which I'm pretty impressed with right now. But let's get down to the 50 goals. Is he going to do it?
All indications point towards yes. Our power play has rejuvenated. And anytime you give Montreal Canadiens a power play, we're one of the top 6 or 8 in the league.
Mhm,
And he's the shooter on that unit.
mhm,
Um, that's he needs a goal every other game for the rest of the year, and he gets his 50.
mhm,
Is that possible? Yeah, I think so. I think this is his his coming out party. We kind of made fun of Bill Guerin for not picking him, and the Americans won a gold medal. They might have whitewashed everybody had they had guys like Caufield on the roster as well, because they just didn't do it easily.
yeah.
But Cole seems to have the knack, and yeah, obviously when you score a hat trick, it's a lot of the knack. But he has fun out there. He shoots a puck, he goes in, he's got a grin ear to ear,
Mhm,
and he's having fun. He engages the crowd. His post game interviews are he's giggling and laughing to himself. He's still starstruck and awestruck being in the building at the Bell Center,
mhm,
and just exactly what the fans mean to him and he means to the fans, and it's electric. So I'm gonna guess that he's gonna break it. He's gonna hit the 50 mark, break that plateau, and I hope for Montreal Canadiens faithfully does it at home.
mhm. It would be great. Um, I think he can get 50. I don't see it out of reach. I mean, you look at his goal producing pace that he's on right now, there's nothing that leads me to believe he's not going to do it, especially with Slav back up there. And like you say, you gotta love Cole because every time he scores, it's like the first time he's ever scored. He loves it and he wants to do it again and again and again. Um, but the point you make about the goals too is it's not like he's not getting empty net goals, he's not getting, garbage goals. He's getting some high quality, high skill goals. Like when he's on that off wing down next to the goalie and he snipes it up short side over the goalie's shoulder. I don't know that there's anybody else in the NHL can do that like he can from so tight, get it up so high, and find that small hole. So he's got the skill to do it. I mean, he's all over it. I don't see him, I don't see why he can't get it. But the next question is, can he get the Richard Trophy?
That might be a stretch. I know he's only 2 behind McKinnon.
Mhm.
But McKinnon's another one of those guys. He's in that upper class like McDavid and
Yeah,
Kucherov, and you go back to Stamkos and Ovechkin in their primes. I mean, these guys just keep doing things in bunches, and just when somebody's knocking on the door, they have the proverbial Newfie version of "Hey, hold my beer," and then they
yeah,
take over.
yeah.
And those are why those players are dynamic. Now, I'm going to throw out some secondary Cole Caufield stats that puts things in perspective for Habs fans.
Mhm,
I believe and I don't have the exact number, and I'm not going to reference it. I think he's got 133 or 132 career goals.
mhm.
Not one of them is in an empty net.
Really? Wow.
Zero empty net goals, and he's got like 31 game winners.
Well, let's just find out how many goals he's got here. 31 game winners. Yeah, I think he has I think a lot of them came this year too. He
He's got
seems to be Mr. Clutch.
Well, if the numbers, you just do rough numbers. 20% of his goals are game winners.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're trying to put a guy in perspective as how valuable is and how clutch he is, and how that bus is driven,
Mhm.
That guy's in charge.
Mhm.
Like he's he's like on an episode of uh is it's his own party, and he'll write the rules. Like he there's nothing. He's like Jeff Spicoli. Like he's just out there. Let's go, dudes. Like
Yeah,
he's having a blast.
yeah.
And
So according to Puckpedia, 355 regular season games. He's got 161 goals, 132 assists, 293 points. So he's tickling that point per game mark.
yeah, and no empty net goals.
Yeah. That's that's
Like
that's pretty good.
that's just it's an insane number. And don't get me wrong. Gretzky had 60 career empty netters. I think Ovechkin's up to 65 career empty netters.
Mm.
When you score 1,000 goals, or like Ovechkin's got, and he's only got
Yeah.
65 empty netters.
Yeah.
Should that number be higher? Or should
Mm.
we be surprised it's not higher?
Mm.
But when Caufield's got almost 20%, 18.9%, or whatever his goals are game winners.
Mhm.
He is 21 on a Saturday night. I mean, you call him Mr. Saturday Night all day long. He's
Mhm.
every bit of that, and we need him to succeed. You
Yeah.
know, going back to we've got that line firing on all cylinders. The second line has not scored at near the same rapid pace that it did when Slav was there. So the risk of moving him up back to the number one line, you're rewarded that they score in bunches. Suzuki had 4 points, Slav had 4 points, Caufield had 5 points. How many did Demidov have?
Mhm.
Right, like that. When you start breaking that down, you're like, well, he didn't get that many. And if he got any, it's on the power play. And if he didn't score any at even strength, we're in trouble. So we need the second and third line to start giving us a bit of pressure relief on that number one line, and we'll be just fine.
Mhm. Yeah, so that leads us kind of into our next topic, the playoff push. 13 games left, as we've discussed earlier, the games over the next 2 weeks. Um, the games are only going to get tighter. I think further on we go, it's going to be more interdivision games. It's going to be them, 4-point games, as we like to talk about, that are going to be pretty crucial. Um, what point tally you think we're going to need to get to the playoffs this year? I think last
Yep.
year was, what'd you say, 94 or something like that?
90 or 91 points got us in.
Mhm.
And they're talking that the absolute minimum is 99 this year.
Mhm.
Like that's insane.
Mhm.
That means we need to garner points in 50% of our remaining games in order to have 99 points.
Yeah.
13 games, you get 13 points. We have 86 now. That's 99.
Yeah.
But Boston's right there. Columbus is right there. Detroit's right there. I mean, if we can hold down the number three spot, it doesn't matter how many points we have.
Mhm.
We just can't fall out of number three and then leave it to chance in a wild card, because then more teams enter the picture.
Yeah. There's a
So,
lot more chasing that wild card spot than there is us at number three.
yeah. So, we have right now, surprise, surprise, the North Tonawanda dumpster fires are in first place, followed
Yeah.
by Tampa, and we're behind them. But tied with us is Detroit and Boston.
Mhm.
Now, we have games in hand on both of them, but those games don't mean anything if you don't win. Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Mhm.
But we need to make sure that when given a chance to start putting away some of these teams, we put them away. We can't afford to play from behind
Mhm.
like we like to do. Yes, there's no quit, and that's the greatest thing on this team. And when they are having fun, they definitely won't quit.
Mhm.
But we can't start playing from a goal and two goals down, and then trying to find a way to win. The wheels will fall off that bus real quick.
Yeah, and I think the idea of getting, the 99 or 100 points just goes to show how strong the division is this year. I mean last year was pretty good division. You had Toronto and Florida up there, but I don't think there was really anybody else as close to that. But now you've got, like you say, Buffalo. I mean, who's seen that coming? You got Buffalo, Tampa. Tampa just always seems to be there somewhere kicking around. It doesn't matter. There's us, Ottawa, Detroit, all some of these
Boston,
teams at Boston, some of these teams in another division, they might be leading the division or in second place. But it just goes to show how good the division is this year, which my point to that is maybe it shows how good Montreal really is that they are playing in a tougher division and succeeding.
we are seventh overall right now in the league.
Hmm.
Right, like if you look, the only three teams ahead of us in the West are Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota, and they're 1 and 2 in the league, and I think Minnesota's fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
So, we are playing with the elitist teams. Now, good thing is we don't play any of those teams. We don't play those three West Coast teams. We have two against Tampa, two against Carolina, um, two against Columbus. So you're talking about teams that are right there. There's
Mhm.
six of our remaining games. We have two
Yeah.
against New Jersey. I think we have Philly in there. We have the Rangers in there. So we've got some tough games on the Schneid somewhere. And again, we might win two in a row and then lose two in a row. We might lose two in a row, win four in a row. The
Mhm.
bottom line is, you have to hope that the wheels fall off the bus on some of these other teams. And, again, tonight, Ottawa's in action. There's only one NHL game. So every Hab fan will be watching the score. You have to hope that the Rangers beat Ottawa in regulation. We can't give out points to it. No team that is in the playoffs has, they all have to come out with points, even if they lose.
Yeah.
So, if you're at home and you're catching this before puck drop tonight, it's go Rangers. We need the Senators to lose in regulation.
hmm So looking over our schedule and looking at the standings, um, overall, if you look at the standings of who we're playing, like you say, we got the two against New Jersey, who that's next weekend, like 11 days from now,
Right.
whatever. And New Jersey is sucking it pretty hard right now. We got the one coming up against the Rangers on Thursday night. Rangers are last in the division. Who else we got? We talked about Carolina. That's going to be tough. Columbus is right in there. They're in the mix. Nashville's fighting for, I think they got the last wild card spot right now. They're holding it. But like we said before, these standings between now and the next 13 games, they're probably going to change 20 times. Teams back and
Yeah.
forth, up and down, and everything else. Um, Maybe I'm getting the cart before the horse here, but as it stands right now, with the wild card the way it lays out, we would be playing Tampa in the first
Yeah.
round.
Yeah. So, the number one seed, obviously in the division, they get a wild card entrant. Two and three play each other.
Mhm,
So, if it ends tomorrow, we're playing Tampa.
mhm.
The only hope that changes is that we jump Tampa, Boston jumps Tampa as well, and then we wouldn't play Tampa. We would play Boston or Detroit or somebody else. But you got to get there.
Mhm,
I believe we get there. You got to get there. You got to have a little bit of lady luck on your side, and you got to play smarter hockey.
mhm,
And we can criticize John Cooper for the Olympic no gold or gold disappointment game, but he's a coach who has won high level stuff across the board more times than not, and he will lean on his heavy horses, right? He'll truck out his Clydesdales, the Hagel, Sorelli. You've got Kucherov up front, Braden Point. You got Hedman in the back, and Vasilevsky. So if anybody knows Tanya Harding, you got her on speed dial. Send her down to Tampa.
Yeah,
Just tell her to wear a one piece, please. The
yeah.
time hasn't been nice to her. And tell her to
Yeah,
take Vasi out by the ocean, right?
yeah.
So one can
Okay.
hope.
So with the playoff push comes some other relevant issues as far as what we need to do. I mean, you had already talked about, Slav first line, second line, where do you put him? I think he's good on the first line, leave him where he is. I think it's a matter of finding somebody to fit in on that second line to fill. I mean, we've got three or four options, but I don't know that really any of them are the answer right now. I mean, Newhook seems to be playing pretty good there.
Yeah, I mean, here's where when the game gets out of hand, like we beat up on the Islanders 7-3, and we get them one more time. So you're talking about a game of games. The Islanders aren't going to want to be embarrassed again. We get them pretty late in the schedule. Hopefully, we're in the playoffs and they're not. But Patrick Waugh ain't going to give us an easy one. If he has a chance to knock us out of the playoffs, doesn't matter that he was an all-star goaltender or won a cup for us. He's
Mhm.
going to want to make sure that down and dirty, we do not win. Um, but we gotta find a balance. Is New Hook the guy? Should in that game when we were up 7-3, should we have put Slav back on the second line and maybe try and get Demidov a goal? Should we have put New Hook up? Should we have maybe swapped Demidov and Slavkovsky?
Mhm.
Could we have changed things to give a different look and give some energy to other players? Um, I would have, but there's a reason I don't coach in the NHL.
Yeah, so I don't know that. I mean, it would be a good idea maybe to, when you get that lead, put him down a little bit, uh, mix up your lines a little bit to see what you can come up with. Um, but does Hage fit in there? I mean, I think we're pretty much know he's coming up for one, two, 3 games, 4 games, however many, depending on how Michigan does in the Frozen Four. But is Hage maybe part of that solution of the top six?
And that very well could be your one wild card, right? Everyone's got that unicorn wild card up their sleeve. Maybe he's that guy. Michigan won the Big Ten,
Mhm,
so they have booked a trip into the Final Four, Frozen Four tournament.
mhm,
The way that works is they go into 4 regions. There's 4 seeds in each region, and it becomes like a quarterfinal, semifinal, final to get out of said bracket, which will start on Thursday.
mhm.
So, if it goes well, he's playing all next weekend, and then he has to go to the Frozen Four weekend,
Yeah.
which will then be the four winners of the 4 regions.
Mhm,
Selfishly, as a Habs fan, do I want Michigan to win? Nope. I want to see him make a splash with us and play some games.
mhm,
But that's just on a selfish level.
mhm.
Um, Maybe he comes and he plays with Demidov, and maybe that's the guy Demidov needs to anchor on his side. It'd be fantastic.
Mhm.
Maybe he plays up on the first line and we put Slav back down. Maybe that becomes the two-headed monster that we need, because then we get scoring in bunches from both lines.
Yeah.
So until he's there, I hate to put all kinds of pressure on the kid, but
Yeah.
welcome to Montreal. You're gonna get pressure.
Get used to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no easy walk in the park here.
I even heard a rumor. I heard a rumor I don't know, it was on a podcast, that possibly Pickford could be signing his entry level contract this year and getting a game or two in with the expectation. The caveat is they're not expecting him to stay on the Habs and play for. They want him to come in if he can at the end of the year, maybe get 1 or 2 games with the big club, and then stay in
Laval.
Val for their playoff run.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm all for it. However, there comes a point in time where feel good has to feel good later.
Hmm.
And what do I mean? If we need those points, I hate to take a roster spot away from a Jack Guy or a Struble for
Hmm.
what little bit they offer, or as much as they're allowed to offer, for the sake that we give a guy a game just to give a guy a game.
Yeah.
If we're locked into a playoff spot, give a guy a game. I don't care,
Hmm.
because everybody likes a feel good story, and that's how you identify what you have, right? Going into an off season where we're projected and expected to be busy. I just don't want to give a guy where that's your season, and then we're all second guessing who the hell thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like that. We know that scenario all too well. They wear blue and white jerseys, um,
Mhm.
you know, uh, and they hear first round, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, so um, you know, we don't need to revisit that, but we will another day. But we have to show and show well at some point. But let's get in before we just
Yeah.
give the thanks for signing with us feel good story games in. We need points.
Yeah, and I think that was part of the condition as well, is that Montreal would have to have basically secured a spot. I think Hage is coming regardless, but I think the Pickford one was if Montreal has a spot secured, bring in Pickford, sign him to his ELC, give him a game in the show to show him, this is what you're striving for, this is what you need to get to. Now go to the American Hockey League and make it happen. Because I think he could help. I think he could help Laval big time in their push too.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a reason we have second and third teams behind us, right? We have Laval, who's the immediate feeder. We have a team in Trois Rivières. They
Yeah.
feed into Laval. You need depth across the board, and that means playoff runs. Sure, does Nick Suzuki get his name on a trophy if Laval wins the AHL Kelly Calder Cup? No, he doesn't. But if we have good players playing there, they help develop while they're down there.
Mhm.
If we have a bunch of journeymen who don't care and they're just trying to get a paycheck because the end is coming near, they don't care if they play longer because they've already made the money. So, we need those teams to do well. And, any chance we get to showcase our young players, even if it's not at the NHL level, at the next pro level, it's still a win for the organization. And the more they can play, the more we win. The more they evaluate, the more they can evaluate and project where that player is going to be maybe next year or 2 years from now, so that they can make decisions based on the upcoming group of free agents that we have to sign or let go or bring in new ones. So
Yeah.
all those are pretty major decisions.
Yeah, and that showcase you talk about, or that shot at the playoffs, does a couple things. It shows the hunger, it shows the willingness of the team wanting to succeed, but it also does the showcase part where, let's just say, I mean, we've said this all year. We've got a lot of players, a lot of good players that we don't have spots for everybody. So we need to showcase some trade value, basically, to get
Yeah,
some stuff, or to also see, okay, it's nice that we have Pickford. It's nice that we have Zorofsky. It's nice that, are they going to make it? But in the meantime, I don't know who's a free agent. Robert Thomas is a free agent, whoever, but that type of a player, if that's somebody we can sign, then that's going to take some of the pressure off as well.
right. But yeah, and the downfall to signing a free agent is this: you get a talent that doesn't cost you anything,
Hmm.
but it also pushes everybody that's still there down the
Yeah,
ranks
yeah.
in the pecking order. And then at some point, a guy who's played all year, like and I hope it's not him, but a Zach Bolduc.
Hmm.
Now he goes from third line to, is he a fourth line in and out of the rotation kind of guy? And yes, we need those guys, but they don't want to be there.
Hmm.
Right? It's a nice internal battle to have, but ultimately, these guys need to know they're dressing every game. They can show up to the rink and just work hard. If you're constantly looking over your shoulder to see if your name's on the chalkboard or whether you're
Yeah.
sent to the press box, you're playing in fear, and fear makes mistakes.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
we don't need that.
Yeah. So I think realistically, I see us getting the 100 points quite easily. So I see us getting in the 104 range. I would think. I don't think that's unrealistic. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're in that neighborhood, the 100 103, 104, 105 points. You'd like to think, okay, you beat both games against New Jersey, you beat Philly, as some of these other teams become mathematically eliminated, they're going to play some of their other players to get those one or two games in, like we will, in a different level. Every team does it.
Yeah.
Tampa, if they clinch, they're not sitting Kucherov and Vasilevsky and all these guys. They might play them less minutes, but Kucherov's still playing.
Mhm.
He's trying to win a Hart Trophy,
Yeah.
right? He's trying to win a scoring title. So, there's still value for some of these guys in different areas. But how much does that impact us? Bottom line is we need to take care of ourselves, win the games one at a time while we can. Then those other things don't matter.
Yeah. We got to control our own destiny.
Absolutely.
Okay. Final thoughts. What do you got for final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Yeah, I'm predicting a playoff appearance. I think we have enough that if we make it, we can get into the second round. I don't think this should be a one and done type of team. Um, my fear is that Marty St. Louis doesn't coach this any different once he gets into the pressure pack situation. He has been a great development coach, and I think he might max his
Mhm.
position based on that, meaning he won't be nasty and bench a Hudson for blowing a coverage 3 plays in a row, but he'll bench a Jack Guy or bench a Struble. He'll limit Galley. You've got to start once the games mean something. Every player has to be held accountable the same way. That's the only way they all look at each other in the locker room and say we're all treated the same. If Suzuki can take a dumb penalty every game and get away with it, then the other guys look around and say this is some big can of shit.
Mhm.
So you need this to be what it needs to be. We need to be disciplined. We need to score. We need to, full throttle hockey, right? One foot on the gas pedal, one on their throat. We need to start winning games, and that doesn't change. And it all comes in the first 10 minutes of every game. We are traditionally slow starters. We need to score early and then keep the pressure on so that we go into a second period with a 2 or possibly a 3 goal lead. Because when we score in bunches, we win more games than we lose.
Mhm.
We are like the fourth highest scoring team in the league, and our goals against average has gotten better. We were down in the bottom six. I think we're right around the eighth or ninth from the bottom now, so we've moved up a bit, and I think that can only get better. So
Mhm.
I'm predicting a playoff push and an appearance by Hage, and I'm hoping we get overall good balance moving
Yeah.
forward.
I would agree. Like I said, I think we both agree. I think the 104 point range plus or minus is what I expect. Um, and I think we can win around. Listen, if we play Tampa, I think we match up pretty good against Tampa. I know they've given us fits of nightmares in the past, but I think that's changed. I think Montreal's on the top end of the Tampa beatings this time around. I think that's changing. Um, and Cole, I don't see him. I don't see why he won't get 50 points, like or 50 goals. Sorry, like you say, we got some. We've got 3 or 4 or 5 games coming up pretty quickly here against some some pretty bad teams. And he's on a goal streak. He's on a scoring streak right now. So I mean, not only do I see him getting 50, I can see him pushing 55. And before the end of the year, we could be talking 60 goals. I mean, maybe that's
Yeah.
getting too much ahead of myself, but that's my, prediction, I guess.
Well, we've got the push for 50. Right now, Suzuki's at 85 points.
Mm,
He's 15 points away from 100, so that's a realistic target.
mm,
Hudson's on pace to break 75 plus points, which will be huge. No defenseman's done that in quite some time. Slavkovsky, I think, is going to start pushing that point per game total. These are pretty big milestones,
mm,
and again, if we stay hot, all these things come true.
mm,
And yes, there is a leprechaun at the end of the rainbow with a pot of gold if they all happen. So,
mm.
there's another prediction for you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's jump in. Let's go with our trivia. What's the answer, Steve?
1989-90. If you picked the Flying Frenchman 2.0, Stéphane Richer
Mm,
was the last Montreal Canadian, 51 goals in 75 games. So it's 1990 was 35 years ago. So
wow.
we we need a return to some glory, and
Yeah.
Elock has got this locked in. So I believe in Mr. Caufield.
Yeah. Well, we're due. Like you said, 30 plus years. We're due. We deserve it. So that's going to wrap up this episode. I want to say thanks for watching. As mentioned earlier, we're at 49 subscribers now. So let's keep pushing up. Let's keep pushing up the viewership. Again, let us know what you think. Let us comment on what we're talking about. Send us some pictures if you've been to a game.
Yeah,
Send us some pictures.
someone
Uh,
steal their wife's phone and lock us into 50. Subscribe them. I mean, everything helps. I mean, if
Whatever
Caulfield can get
works.
50,
Whatever
so can
works.
we.
Yeah. Yeah. You might as well listen. All the Leafs fans can subscribe because you guys got nothing to watch anyways. So with
True
that,
story.
gonna say thanks for watching. Hit the like, share, subscribe button. Make your comments. And as Steve always says,
Keep your stick on the ice.